Hello and welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your coach Reynoso here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
AFC World Cup qualifiers. In the midst of this Copa America Euros chaos, we still got to check in on our Asian sides to see how they're doing in this tournament as they try to progress into the World Cup. And today was the last match day of the second round, going into the third round, where we saw a lot of drama and a lot of chaos. This time I got my boy Soltero here to review and react to the matches that happened. We saw a couple of the games, so we're actually very excited to talk about this. And we're just going to go down the list in alphabetical order, group by group. So to start, the group with the most drama today in Asia, Group A sees Kuwait qualify into the next round through what ends up being Indian demise, with Qatar winning 2-1. But the headlines, bro, everything I'm hearing, all the DMs I've gotten, India robbed. And you were reporting, you saw this game. I want to know your thoughts. Did India get robbed, and what happened in this match? Because from what I saw, Qatar didn't even start the best team.
I want to relive this as if we're Indian, because I watched both games and I had both games streaming live, one on my laptop, one on my phone. The main one, the India-Qatar game. And going into it, yes, the first thing I noticed, not only did Qatar not start their best team, bro, it was a complete B team.
Could you even say C team, bro?
You could even say C team because there wasn't a single starter from the AFC Asian Cup. Not a single player. So they didn't even try to bring a veteran player or anything for experience purposes. This was a brand new Qatari team because they were already qualified. So obviously I go into it thinking, oh, this is perfect for India. A win and they are guaranteed in. A draw or a loss, well, then that's where things get hairy. And a win for Kuwait or even Afghanistan would put them above India. So there was a lot at stake, but it was actually looking pretty good for India, at least before the whistle blew. But upon the start of this game, man, Qatar went off on India, went completely off. There was a play early on in the game, beautiful diagonal ball over to the right wing back of Qatar. Gouda receives it brilliantly, blows past the Indian fullback, dishes it to Al-Rawi, who's wide open in the center, but unfortunately kicks it straight to the defender that's right on the goal line, thus saving India. It's still 0-0.
The goal line save was crazy. I saw it in the highlights.
Crazy goal line save, bro.
Yeah.
Then from there, it was all Qatar for like a good 20 minutes. I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing for India because this is Qatar's B/C team and it's not looking good. But then around the 30th minute, India had their best spell of the match because there was a beautiful slip through ball. Manveer Singh gets on the end of it and he has a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper narrows down the angle and he actually smothers it up pretty well. Singh gets a shot off, but it's a really tough one at the end of the day and it still remains 0-0. But then after that moment, India turned it on, bro. It was attack after attack, and finally a nice little lucky deflection goes straight to Chang Tae, who then puts it home. India up 1-0. They're going to the next round of World Cup qualifying.
Yes, sir. Scenes, man. Scenes, the excitement. I couldn't believe it. I checked on my phone because I was busy during this time. I checked on my phone. They were up 1-0, and I posted on an Instagram story. There's no way. It's happening. India's gonna do it. Despite everything that's been said about them, they're going to do it. Going up 1-0 at halftime, looking really good so far.
Looking really good because, again, they ended the game, they ended the half with their best spell of the match. So I was like, oh, okay, so they could redo this in the second half and at least just keep it at bay, 1-0. The other game, it didn't look like anything was going on. Kuwait, Afghanistan at halftime was still 0-0. It's looking brilliant for India. But dude, the second half starts and Qatar, I don't know why, I guess just because they wanted to screw over India, they come out guns a-blazing. It was all Qatar. But India were able to hold on. Yeah. They were able to hold on, and it wasn't until probably the most controversial portion of the game where I'm going to do my best to explain this because I've never seen anything like this, honestly. It's so bizarre. There is a diagonal ball off of a set piece coming into the box. The Qatari player heads it towards goal. Goalkeeper makes a save. He has to. It's near post. The ball ends up behind the goalkeeper. The keeper sees the ball behind him, but he lets it go because the ball is going out of bounds. Yeah. But a Qatari player runs in, drags it back as if the ball is still in play, and it finds a Qatari player, and obviously the net is wide open, and Qatar equalized 1-1. The question is, was the ball out? I don't know. I don't know. Did you? What do you think?
I saw it. I think this one's tough.
It's tough
because it reminds me of the Japan-Germany situation where Japan scored a very similar goal where the ball was on the line. Here's the difference. We only got 2 angles in this India game. 2 angles, bro. And the 2 angles are really hard to fully determine what actually happened because in Japan, they give us an overhead angle where you could see the ball just kissing the edge of the line. On this one, looking at the angles that were given, I think it's out. I think it's out.
You could convince me either way.
I'm going to go it's out, and I need proof otherwise to prove me the other way because of the way the goal happened, because taking context into display, the way the Qatari player got the ball too, bro, it was like a kid stealing a cookie out of a cookie jar.
Yeah.
He trying to get sneaky.
He was like, "Oh, did I get it?"
Yeah. I was like, come on, like that's not football. Like you can't win a match. Like you can't lose out on a World Cup qualifying spot like that. That to me just didn't seem very fair. But also with the goalkeeper kind of blocking the full angle of the ball, it's really tough to determine. I'm gonna say it was out. Therefore, I guess I am saying India got robbed in this situation because it sucks, bro. What a shitty way to go out because they were doing so well up to this point. They really were. This goal, I felt like was a little, I don't know, it was a little cheap from Qatar's point of view.
I agree. It did look very sketchy, and the angles that we were given, it definitely looked like the ball was just out. But then I see it again, and I'm like, maybe it's kissing the touchline, man.
Yeah, you just don't know.
I just don't fully know. I will say more robbed than not, but I also maybe want to give Qatar the benefit of the doubt and say, look, if the ball's in, the ball's in. I don't fully know. Either way, though, if you're India, what a way to concede. What a horrible way to concede. There's nothing you can do as a fan. The players, as soon as the ball went in, they were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do. The goalkeeper was like, don't do this.
Yeah, I understand it. Demoralized. You see in the following situation afterward, when Qatar got the second goal, the India wasn't even there anymore.
Bro.
They were checked out.
Yeah.
So I that's why it bothers me. That's why even like half the players let up when they thought the ball was going out of bounds, and then when the goal happened, bro, it felt like a hockey goal almost. Like they just snuck the puck in type shit.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I didn't like to see India go out like this specifically. Obviously, I predicted they wouldn't go through, and that's okay, but not like this, man. Yeah. Not like this. I wish the technology was in place. I wish we had that overhead angle to actually determine it. So because we don't, all I can do is go off of what we were given, and I think they made the wrong call.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I think since the ball just looked like it was out, just call it out.
Yeah.
Then, right? Why try and guess if it stayed in? If it looked more out, I get it.
Do you think there's an element of Qatar paying referees here, man?
No, because Qatar was already in. Qatar was already in.
Oh, I know.
It didn't matter.
I know, but maybe not in this game. But is there a case to see Qatar as like these because they just won the AFC Asian Cup? Is there an element of maybe they get really beneficial calls because of their status in Asia?
Right.
Love to my Qatari folks out there. Love to y'all, but I'm just asking, we've seen Mexico get really beneficial calls in CONCACAF at their height.
Oh, absolutely.
You wouldn't deny that.
I wouldn't deny that.
So who's to say Qatar won't do that? Won't get that either?
Yeah. No, I understand. I will just say though, when it was level for a couple of minutes, India was still fine because the other game was level. But very soon after that goal happened, Kuwait scored actually a beautiful goal.
Bro.
Beautiful goal. Nice little interchange, like one touch, set it up, two touch, put in the bottom corner of the net. It was a brilliant goal from Kuwait. Pure ecstasy, too. Like, dude, the fans were going crazy. The staff was going crazy. They knew that at that moment, they're like, we're stealing this from India.
No, and that's what I mentioned in the last video where I previewed today's matches. I was like, Kuwait has a chance at a historic AFC result right here.
Yeah.
Like if they get a victory here, it's going to be incredible. And they actually did. They pulled it off. They beat Afghanistan as well, and they completely surprised the group by topping India and knocking them out of this tournament.
Yeah.
Kuwait fans must be feeling great about themselves because it came down to the last 20 minutes of this phase of the tournament to get a result, and they did absolutely. Congratulations, honestly. Beyond the India drama, congratulations to Kuwait for an incredible result and now qualifying through to the World Cup.
Yeah, and the reason why I ultimately don't want to say India got robbed is because, let's be honest here, if this was Qatar's best team, India have no chance of winning that game.
That's a good point.
Zero chance. So just because the scheduling worked out for India, they were given an opportunity to qualify. And I'm fine with this result, if I'm going to be completely honest, because India's not that good, right? I'm fine with Kuwait going through over India. Sorry, my Indian brethren. It's nothing personal. I'm just not a fan of your football team right now. And there was no Chetri today either, so it was just different looking India side. They gave it their all. I can't fault them for that. But yeah, I mean, overall, you'd hope you play better football before the last match day to get through, just like most of the teams who qualified did out of all the groups that happened in Asia.
Congratulations to Kuwait, you're going through, and congratulations to Qatar. They had already topped this group. They're going through to the next round of AFC qualifying. We move on to Group B, which saw Japan win 5-0 against Syria, and North Korea win 4-1 against Myanmar, securing second place and qualifying through. What a result for North Korea, who had just recently, a few days ago, defeated Syria as well. And honestly, looking at this from the Syrian point of view, bro, they choked it. They choked this, man. Losing against North Korea and then just getting trashed by Japan. They had a chance of qualifying through, but the weaknesses, the flaws of this Syrian team that we saw in the AFC Asian Cup came to the Bay, and we now see them get knocked out. And congratulations, North Korea going through. That's a crazy result. They move on in the advance.
Yeah, congratulations to North Korea. For Syria, they lost it in that match day 5 when they lost to North Korea. Like, that was just such a major result. They should have at least gotten the draw, and then maybe they could have had a chance against Japan. But going into that Japan game, knowing you're probably going to lose and North Korea is probably going to win, was looking pretty grim for Syria. But for Syria, I'm just kind of disappointed, though.
Same, dude.
I'm pretty disappointed because they weren't amazing at the AFC Asian Cup, but they showed so much grit, so much heart, so much fight. And these last 2 games completely reversed that. Like, completely, man. 2 major losses here. And they played their best team, basically.
Yeah.
I think they were missing one important defender, but that wasn't going to help them, right?
No.
And I'm ultimately pretty disappointed because the team's better than losing to North Korea 1-0. But congratulations to North Korea for getting the win against a gritty side like Syria. Like, overall, they completely deserve to go through over the Syrians.
I don't know if I can say Syria is better than North Korea, because I remember during the AFC Asian Cup, Syria's entire game plan was keep it 0-0 and maybe we get a goal. So it makes sense that they go goalless in 2 straight matches. And it sounds like within that sort of game plan, North Korea had the same idea, keep it as tight as possible. Maybe we get a chance to take an advantage here. And they actually did it. So I'm giving props to North Korea for actually getting the result. Syria's offense, man, like that's the biggest flaw here. That's the biggest weakness. And it came to show because when push came to shove, they couldn't get a single goal in both match days. And I think that says a lot about the Syrian team.
Yeah. For Japan, though, another major victory where they score over 3-4 goals and absolutely murder their opponent.
Can you guess how many goals they scored in this round?
I think
in their group,
I think it was 26,
24, and 0 conceded.
Yeah, nuts, bro. But that's the thing.
They should have. They should have done way more in the Asian Cup, man.
And
Good Lord.
That's what I want to bring up here. Is, you know what I was thinking when I saw this result and when I've seen the results in this group is, I do wonder what factor playing the AFC Asian Cup mid-European season has on these big teams. Because obviously most of Japan, a lot of Iran, most of Korea, and also a lot of Australia, all their players play in Europe.
Yeah.
The AFC Asian Cup happens right in the smack dab middle of very important European seasons, and then all of a sudden they have to shift their mind to, all right, we got to go to Asia, we got to do something completely different than what we're doing in Stuttgart. You know what I mean? And I wonder if that has an impact, man. All I'm saying is, what if the AFC Asian Cup was in June?
That's why. Who benefits from this the most? Qatar. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
No.
Come on. No.
The Asian Cup's always been in January. It's always been in January.
I know. I'm just poking jokes here. Qatar has gotten a lot of favorable things happen their way recently. But you're right. I think that did play a big factor, bro. I think that did play a big factor. I wonder what would have happened if they do this tournament in the summer as a third tournament, man. Right beside the Copa America and the Euros. AFC Asian Cup happens as well. I wonder if there'd be a shift in results or if we see the exact same thing.
And you can extend extend this to maybe why AFCON is so unpredictable. What if the African teams had their European players be focused after the season's over? Because it's the same thing. Yeah. Their European players have to stop mid-season to go to Africa and play. I wonder if this has a factor because, I mean, the thing about AFCON is it's so unpredictable. There's so many upsets. But would there be if they had the same schedule as Copa America as Europe? Because obviously those two tournaments are a little bit more predictable. The landscapes in Asia and Africa definitely don't really mirror Europe, so I'll still leave room for variation, but I just wonder, it's a thought experiment.
Group C has South Korea defeating China 1-0 on the last day and Thailand defeating Singapore 3-1, but not having it be enough as China qualifies through in second place. Fourth tiebreaker had to be used to determine who goes through between China and Thailand, and that tiebreaker was points in head-to-head matches. China had 4 points against Thailand in head-to-head matches. Therefore, they went through because they were tied on points, they were tied on goal differential, they were tied on goals for, goals against, they're tied on wins, draws, and losses. So it's crazy it had to go down to the fourth tiebreaker. But it's even crazier that it ends up benefiting China, bro. This Chinese team who now sees themselves with better chances of getting into the World Cup. And Thailand ultimately falling short despite making a late run at it, getting 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the match, trying to push that goal differential forward, but having it not be enough against the Singapore side. Congratulations to China and congrats to South Korea who topped this group.
Yeah, heartbreak for Thailand because they just needed 1 more goal in their favor. That's it.
Or don't concede that goal to Singapore.
Exactly.
And that's it. And Singapore basically scored on their only chance, man.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
It's harsh.
It's harsh.
But I will say, I haven't been high on Thai football this whole year. This makes sense. The fact that it came down to this, to me, in my opinion. Thailand play good midfield football, but it kind of ends there for me. They just don't have the ultimate bite against defensive teams like China or like South Korea. So China go through because of their defense, right? They only lost to Korea by 1 goal, and that's why they go through. If Korea had had a field day, China wouldn't be going through. So China get through because of their defense. We saw this defense in the AFC Asian Cup. This does make sense. Obviously, China's not really that good of a team, so we'll see how they do in the next round. I don't really see them getting past that third round.
Yeah, Singapore with the -19 goal differential in this group. Thailand and China end up tied, and I mean, I'm not excited at all about this Chinese team. I'll be honest with you. After everything I saw at the Asian Cup and the way I hear people speak about them, it just doesn't seem that promising. But South Korea, to me, is the biggest headline. They end up going through. Congratulations to them. And hey, China has a shot here making history, man. If they can continue this momentum, I do think their run will end in the next phase of the World Cup qualifiers. But for now, they can celebrate. And Thailand ends up disappointing.
Yeah, Lee Kang-in with yet another goal. He's looking so good when he dons the Korean jersey. And overall, I'll just be curious to see South Korea over the next 12 months with their new coach and just to see how the chemistry is for this team because on paper, there's so much going for them, but they just don't seem to get it right. And I'll be really watching their performances in this next round to see if they're onto something.
Group D has Malaysia defeating Chinese Taipei 3-1 and Oman tying Kyrgyzstan 1-1. I remember when I reacted to the results just a few days ago, it was basically already predetermined, although not mathematically or technically, but looking at the matchups in hand, Malaysia would have needed a really big result against Chinese Taipei, and they would have needed Kyrgyzstan to not get any points against Oman. Kyrgyzstan gets the 1-1 draw, and that sees it be enough for them to go through. So ultimately, the 2 best teams in this group, in my opinion, do end up going through in Oman and Kyrgyzstan. But bro, I'm gonna be honest, from what I remember seeing at the Asian Cup, I don't like either of these teams, man.
No, man. It ended up being really tight ultimately between those 3 teams, Malaysia, Kyrgyzstan, and Oman. But yeah, Oman and Kyrgyzstan were in the same group at the AFC Asian Cup, and we saw what they did. They're just fighters, right? There's not a lot going for them progressively in the offensive end or creatively, and it's their defense. It's that grit. It's that physicality that gets them to this next round. I think the next round, if they play against some serious opponents that have good offenses, that's where we're going to see the weaknesses of these 2 teams.
I want Oman to prove me wrong. I want Oman to prove me wrong because right now I have these 2 teams are probably the bottom feeders of the next phase. They're going to be in 5th or 6th place, bro. I don't see these teams being competitive, but I want one of them to prove me wrong because I already know the comments are going to come at me. But I'm anti-Oman, man. I'm anti-Kyrgyzstani football right now, bro.
Yeah, I used to like Oman a couple of years ago, or when they were in the last cycle for 2022. I really like their football, but I just don't think they've made any progress on the offensive end of things. If anything, I think they've actually gotten more defensive, and they were already pretty defensive a couple of years ago. And you have to have a balance. I don't think Oman do.
Group E sees Turkmenistan tie Hong Kong 0-0 and Iran tie Uzbekistan 0-0, 2-0 results because this group was already done. If anything, the conversation here should just be about congratulating Iran and Uzbekistan for doing what was expected of them, dominating this group, both ending on 14 points. Iran in first place, Uzbekistan in second. Turkmenistan and Hong Kong getting 4 points combined in this group. This one was decided by the time the draw was made because there was no need to play this football out. No need. The top two teams clearly made it through. Iran progresses and Uzbekistan progresses, both with very big hopes, very high hopes of qualifying to 2026 FIFA World Cup.
What I love for Uzbekistan is they never lost to Iran. They actually both remain undefeated with Iran, Uzbekistan. And I just like that. It's a step in the right direction for Uzbekistan as they try to climb up this AFC ladder. The fact that they were able to remain undefeated against Iran twice in this group, this is huge, right? Because normally there's a big loss somewhere for this Uzbekistan team, but no longer. We saw them make a deep run at the AFC Asian Cup. There's a couple of important players missing. Also some sloppy football for Uzbekistan. Let's not pretend that didn't happen. But I love that they've been able to maintain their consistency. That's the only thing I'm worried about with Uzbekistan right now. Maintain the consistency, and I do think the goals, the creativity will come. So I'm very, very excited for Uzbekistan in the next round. For Iran, though, I don't care anymore, man. I don't, bro.
What?
I don't. Now, they should have gone to the final. They should have figured it out. They should have figured it out in the AFC tournament, especially since Japan was looking weird. Korea had the whole Klinsmann debacle. And Australia were missing some really crucial players. They'd already been knocked out.
Yes, sir.
And Iran, everything was set for them to go to the final. And they choked, bro. They choked. So I'm not high on this team. Obviously, they have good players. I'm not going to deny that. Obviously, they're still one of the best in Asia, but I just think they missed a huge opportunity. And if that happens, then what are they going to do in the round of 16 at the World Cup, right?
For sure.
I need to see way more. If Uzbekistan's equaling them in a group, then I think Uzbekistan has more hope because they believe in themselves that they can be better than Iran, whereas Iran's just been stagnant at the top. I need to see more from them. They had the chance 5 months ago. They couldn't do it. This is nothing new for Iran for me. I'm low on Iran.
Well,
I want to make that clear.
For them, I think we're gonna have to wait until the World Cup.
I want to make that clear.
They're gonna get through, bro. We already know they're gonna dominate qualification. They're gonna get through. So I'm not gonna give them that attitude yet. Once World Cup preview times, you can do it then. But for now, they're gonna dominate, bro. They're gonna dominate. And Uzbekistan, I agree. They have a better ceiling. Way better ceiling.
Yeah.
Because from Iran, what I've heard from a lot of Iran fans, I'm sure y'all would agree with me. The team is here. The talent was there to win the Asian Cup this past year. Yeah. It was you could almost say the golden generation with the level of players that they had at their disposal. But looking at their ages, by the time it's 2026, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So I agree with you ultimately. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to give them that sort of energy. I'm not gonna do that yet.
No.
For now, we move on to Group F, where Indonesia gets a big result against the Philippines 2-0, and Iraq gets a big result against Vietnam 3-1. This solidifies Indonesia qualifying into the next phase of AFC World Cup qualifiers, and Iraq topping the group with 18 points. I remember when I had previewed today's match day, I was a little worried because although Vietnam had the matchup against Iraq, something crazy could happen. Yeah. Vietnam could maybe face off against a B team or C team for Iraq and end up winning, whereas Indonesia had to play against the weakest team in this group. But you never know, man. Football is crazy. There was a little bit of drama, but I'm glad that Indonesia took care of business at home, scoring a couple of bangers in the process. And now moving forward to the next round, big result for Indonesia because the pressure was there. It was in their control, and they got the victory. I think that's big, man. I think that's big for the mentality of this team, for the youth of this team. And Vietnam goes home. Indonesia once again just damaging Vietnam in a footballing sense, bro. My goodness.
My God.
And knocking them out of the tournament. Philippines sees themselves in 4th place. And Iraq, man, your beloved Iraq, dominating the group.
Yeah, disaster for Vietnam because now they have to wait how long? 6 years maybe to get another chance. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So it's really tough for them because it's not that Vietnam are bad. I just think they're poorly organized. They're not set up for success. There's just too much change in management. They've had too many injuries at the wrong time. This sucks if you're Vietnamese. But Indonesia take full advantage here. Congratulations. We've seen how exciting Indonesia can be, beating Vietnam twice in this group and, going to the knockout stage at this last AFC Asian Cup. There's so many exciting players. They play such a fun style of football. For me, when it comes to Indonesia, dude, they're the first team I'm going to look at when the draw is made for the third round, because if it goes right for them, I think they're going to have an excellent opportunity, maybe not to get the automatic spots, but to at least finish maybe right underneath it and go to the bonus fourth round.
This is where it gets exciting.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be really interesting because I'm just curious to know, like, what is the ceiling of this Indonesian team? Because in the round of 16 in the Asian Cup, they lost to Australia, but I don't know. I still need to get a better sense of where they fall within the rankings of Asia. And I think this next round is really going to give it to this. Do they finish off in 5th or 6th place, really fail to play consistently up to like the top teams in Asia? Or do they flirt with 2nd and 3rd?
Right.
Like, do they flirt with 2nd and 3rd and like seem like a really formidable side for most of the run? I'm waiting to get that answer, but I kind of like that you really don't know with this team. You really don't know. It could be one or the other. I think that's what makes it really exciting. Whereas for Iraq, man, my expectations for them are 1st or 2nd place in whatever group they get in, man.
They're a top team in Asia. They beat Indonesia twice, and I do think that tells you a bit where Indonesia lie. They can't be the top teams in Asia, right? So the Iraq, Australia, Japan, Koreas of Asia. But I think, and this is where the questions come in, I think they can fight that tier right underneath them.
Okay.
I do think so, which is why I'm excited, because can they flirt with 2nd or 3rd place? I think they can. Now, if they get a really unfortunate draw and there's just like 2 top teams in Asia and then a really feisty third team, then Indonesia might be fighting for that bonus 4th place spot, and that'd be the last one that they could get. So that's why I'm so interested in this draw.
But imagine a weak group where the best team is like Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
Oof.
Exactly.
The draw I looked is June 27th. So 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
2 weeks from now. And if you're curious about the next round, I believe the next round works in the sense that it's 3 groups of 6 teams. Top 2 teams go through, and then is it 3rd and 4th or just 3rd?
3rd and 4th go to a bonus 4th round where it's 2 groups of 3.
There you go. So congratulations to Indonesia. Congratulations to Iraq. 2 quality teams qualifying out of this group, and things are looking exciting for both.
Yeah, and just for ending notes on Iraq, yeah, you already mentioned it. This team's going to the World Cup, man. Like, it'd be a disaster if they don't. I'm not even going to put that in my mind. They're going to the World Cup, and I'm going to be so excited to see what they do. They have such young players. They're so organized. They play a really balanced style of football where they're very aggressive defensively, but they can hit you out on the break. They can also possess the ball. They have a really good number 9 and really hardworking wingers. This team almost has it all, and I want to know how far they can truly go against the Japan, against the Koreas of Asia.
What's their timeline looking like, though? That's my question. 2 years from now, World Cup, does it fit that? Is it a timeline where they reach their peak at the World Cup, or do they kind of just stay at the same level for now? That's my question.
That's actually really interesting because Iraq have always been good, right? They've always been right underneath the first tier of Asian teams, but I don't think they've ever been at the forefront of Asia for long periods of time. And I'll be curious to see if they can maintain it, because if they end up just dominating this next round, I think they'll be perfectly poised for 2026. They'll be on the perfect path for them to be in their prime come 2 years' time. So right now, things are looking literally perfect for Iraq. But let's wait till this 3rd round to see who they get drawn with and how they perform. But my God, is it looking good for Iraq.
Another team who things are looking really good for is Jordan. Jordan is in Group G, a team that at one point we were worried might not qualify through.
I wasn't worried.
Ends up getting a result against Tajikistan and goes from potentially being knocked out to topping their group by the end of this stage. Saudi Arabia loses to Jordan 2-1, and Tajikistan wins 3-0 against Pakistan. But it was really that game that happened a few days ago where Jordan got the result against Tajikistan to push themselves forward in the rankings and end up topping it with 13 points, 16 goals in this group. Jordan tops this group, and Saudi Arabia goes through in 2nd place. All love to my Tajiks out there. I already said everything. I already said all this in my last video. All love to them. Congratulations on an incredible year. But it's all about Jordan and Saudi Arabia in this group, man. It really is. And Jordan, their trajectory is looking really good.
Instead of Soltero, you're going to have to start calling me Soltamari, bro, because I am going all in on this Jordan team,
More than Iraq?
From a personal perspective, like heart to team, yes.
I was saying, bro, like it'll be so fun to watch Jordani players play in the U.S. Like we gotta go to those games, man.
Oh, dude, I gotta
get the Altamari signature. That
my God,
I need to see that in person, bro.
They are my favorite team in Asia right now. Obviously, Japan's better, right? Obviously, Korea might be a little bit better. But we saw what Jordan can do when they beat Iraq, when they beat Korea, right? When they went almost all the way, when they got to the final and put up a good fight against Qatar. Jordan's capable of so much. But for me, why they're my favorite team right now in Asia is just the way they play, bro. It's the way that they play. There's such commitment with the center backs. Nassib, what a monster. Honestly reminds me of Rudiger. He's like the Asian Rudiger because he's so eager. He always plays forwards as tight as he can, and he loves physical duels. The entire back line of Jordan loves physical duels. They're so fun to watch on the defensive end of things. And then when they get going forward, bro, when Altamari gets on his horse, nothing can stop him. It is brilliant to watch Altamari with the ball at his feet going at his top speed. It's incredible. That one-on-one feature you get when you put the ball out to his feet, it is incredible must-see football in the AFC. And then you still have players like Yazan and Ali Olwan who have really good techers, but they also have such good chemistry, man. They're so fun to watch. I cannot get enough of this Jordan team. I watched this whole game, Saudi Arabia versus Jordan in Saudi Arabia. Jordan ended up getting the win on the road, and I think it tells you two things. One, Saudi's definitely on a decline. We already kind of saw that at this last AFC Asian Cup, and it tells you the rise of Jordan. Getting to the final was not a fluke. They are one of the better teams in Asia. My only worry is kind of like how you're saying about Iraq. It might be a little bit more worrying for Jordan. It's just, can they keep this up, right? Because the AFC Asian Cup just happened, and they've been able to maintain that consistency. The way that they're playing, they look so organized. They look like they play for each other. They look like they love playing for Amuta, their coach, too. So it's looking really good for Jordan to continue these incredible performances. But, dude, like, Jordan topped the group. They topped the group. It's absolutely incredible against a powerhouse in Saudi Arabia who in the last two cycles were undefeated basically at home. Jordan gets the win on the road in this group. I'm just so excited for Jordani football, man.
Change is coming.
Change is coming, bro.
Change is coming in Asia. What I like about Jordan is the way they got the goals today. It was 2 deflected goals, man.
Major deflections. Let's be honest.
Thing, man. When Jordan plays, it's a shooting range. That's the whole game plan: is create as many dangerous opportunities as possible and shoot at any opportunity that you have. So people might say it was lucky deflections, but it was their own luck that they created because, bro, watching this team, they'll shoot from anywhere, bro. Outside the box, headers, in the box, up close. It doesn't matter, dude. They'll try to find a way to get something out of every offensive attack. And with the options that they have, something good will eventually happen. And that's what's fun, bro, because it can be behind Altamari getting past 3 guys and then sending a nice ball in and scoring a goal, or it can just be, a goal like that gets deflected and just ends up going in. And I like how this Jordan team plays. I agree with everything you said, and I'm interested in their timeline as well. For me, it's about timeline with these Asian teams. I need it to sync up. Because if it does, then you will see it on a big stage like the FIFA World Cup. But it's dope that Asia is already starting to notice how good Iraq, Jordan, Indonesia is. I'm ready for the world to know these teams, man.
Same.
I'm ready for the world to know these teams.
Yeah, the third round for Jordan is going to be work. They can't let up. They have to keep playing as hard as they can because, Saudi Arabia, for as poor as they have been, they still have really good players. And honestly, they should have at least equalized in this game. They should not have lost this match because Jordan on the wings were getting cooked. They were getting absolutely cooked. But it was that central defense that was always there for Jordan. For Saudi Arabia, it was just wastefulness. It was wrong decision-making. It was poor finishing. I think for Saudi Arabia, it's just very disappointing, though, because there is good talent on this side, but as of late, man, it is not producing much.
Oh, no, it's Mancini, bro.
Yeah.
Mancini losing to Jordan, tying Tajikistan, losing to South Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, his resume is not looking good with this team. And we honestly thought that he would have gotten fired after that South Korea loss. The fact he's still here, I'm surprised. This Saudi Arabia team, I don't know, man. It seems a little manufactured for me. Yeah. It doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem organic. And I think that's showing in the big matches where they play against top elite teams in Asia. I don't see them like dominate the same way they do against these lower level teams. So for Saudi Arabia, I do think there's a limit on what they can achieve. I just wonder if it's enough to keep them out of the World Cup ultimately, or if it's still enough to go all the way through. Because like you said, they dominated in past times, bro. They really did. They're really comfortable in this stage. Yeah. Maybe they ramp it up and we just see the old Saudi Arabia in these next few rounds. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what their ceiling is, honestly.
Dude, yes. Yet another example of how important the draw is going to be, man. Because if Saudi Arabia get put in a tough group, then I do see them struggling. But if they get put in a manageable group, then we will see Saudi at the World Cup once again. But yeah, this draw is going to be crazy, actually. This could go a lot of ways. It could be really bad for some teams or really, really good for certain teams. I'm hoping Jordan get just a favorable draw. Maybe a couple tough teams, a couple easy teams, and they fight for second.
Tajikistan finishes with 8 points and Pakistan with 0. Last two groups. Group H saw United Arab Emirates tie Bahrain 1-1 and Yemen tie Nepal 2-2. This group was already decided, I believe, from last week, where UAE ends up topping the group with 16 points, Bahrain with 11, Yemen has 5, Nepal 1. Bahrain and UAE, the top two teams in this group, going through.
Yeah, I just need to see these two teams get tested more. Yeah. Nepal and Yemen are one of the weakest teams just in this qualifying round in general. So this was always going to be Bahrain. It was always going to be UAE to qualify through. So sure, yeah, congratulations on getting the job done, but the work is just now starting for them.
Yeah, 5 goals conceded combined between UAE and Bahrain, so they dominated this group.
They never got tested.
I want to see what they can do, but hey, Ali Madan is in the next round, my friend.
One of my favorite players in Asia, man.
Ali Madan goes through. Congratulations to Bahrain and UAE. I'm interested to see what you guys can do in the next phase. So congratulations to both of those teams and countries. The last group, Group I, saw Australia defeat Palestine 5-0 and Lebanon defeat Bangladesh 4-0. The most notable result here is Australia trashing Palestine because Palestine had a historic result just a few days ago where they saw themselves qualify through to the next round. Congratulations to them. Big result. But, you know, Australia doing Australian things here. 22 goals for, 0 conceded in this group, and defeating Palestine 5-0.
Australia, man. I used to hate Australian football for the longest time, but I think over these last World Cups, especially in 2022, I'm recognizing I don't think anything beats Australian grit, bro. Because it doesn't matter who they bring to a tournament or to a qualifying round. They fight. They give their best. And obviously, there's talent in this Australian side. We've seen them play in Europe. And even the A-League talent that they do bring up ends up being pretty profitable for the team in general. And they just build really competitive teams. I'm actually really excited about Australia going forward, like basically from now on, because they basically just never let me down. Obviously, their ceiling isn't as high as most teams around the world, but Australia, for what they give, it is more than I think you could ask for, considering the talent pool that they actually have. I love Australia, truly. I think they play a really good style of football. It's pretty organized. They're so aggressive off the ball. They make it hell for any opponent to play them. And then when they have their best attackers on the pitch, they actually end up being one of the best teams in Asia overall. So I would be pretty high on this Australian team. Obviously, I have this team getting to the World Cup, but they actually might be able to do something in this World Cup, especially since it's expanded. If they get a really nice group in this World Cup, Australia might be able to do something. I mean, they got as close as they could have against Argentina in this last World Cup. Yeah. So I think for Australian football, it's actually looking pretty damn good, man.
That's what I love about Asia, man, is that the results that happen at their tournaments, they align with what happens in World Cup qualification through and through, bro. Like, even Jordan ending up topping Saudi Arabia, like, I think that's so telling of what we saw at the AFC Asian Cup. Whereas, looking at CONMEBOL, Brazil's in 6th place, but they might win the Copa America, right? Like, it doesn't line up. But in Asia, everything lines up. And I think this group shows it because I remember Palestine being better than Lebanon in the Asian Cup.
I agree.
And they end up topping them in this group, and Lebanon ends up disappointing. I'm just like, that makes so much sense based off of what we saw, and I love that. So shout out to Asia for that, for giving me some sort of consistency in world football. Lebanon ends up disappointing though, man, once again. But we saw the shades of it at the AFC Asian Cup too, because I remember wanting more out of this team, especially offensively, and it didn't end up happening for them, man. 1 win, 3 draws, two losses, 6 points total. Only 5 goals scored and 8 against. Just not enough from Lebanon.
That's the problem. Is Lebanon isn't a bad team per se, but they labor so much to get a result, and it shows. They can fight, and they're actually not bad in a tournament setting, but over 6 games, over a grueling process, Lebanon's weaknesses really show. For Palestine, I'm actually really glad that they qualified because I think they do have a more fluid, a more creative offense than Lebanon. So yes, they got pounded 5-0 against Australia, but Palestine's better than Lebanon, and they deserve to go through.
Yeah, I remember that Palestine UAE game. Yeah. Like that to me was such a big highlight with the performance I saw from Palestine in that match. So I'm happy they end up going through. Congratulations to them, and congratulations to Australia, who end up rounding out the AFC World Cup qualifiers. It's about to get even crazier.
It's gonna get crazier, man. I'm serious, bro. We might go live for that draw, bro. Because holy shit, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, folks. Let us know in the comments, how did your team perform? How do you feel? Do you think India got robbed? What the hell was your takeaway after everything that happened these past 2 match days in AFC World Cup qualifiers? Lots to talk about. Let us know in the comments down below. We'll catch you guys very, very soon. Peace.